Here's a wake-up call for the nation. The shortcomings in America's education system could be affecting the national security. That is according to a new report that comes from the Council on Foreign Relations, which has drawn a number of connections between the schools and our safety. Rhee is the former chancellor of the D.C. public school system. She is the CEO and founder of StudentsFirst. Nice to have you. Thanks for talking with us. Connect the dots for me. How exactly does how a school or schools in general across the nation faring connected to our national security?
Well, when you think about it, in order to have a robust superpower in America, we need to have engineers, we need to have scientists, we need to have advanced military personnel. Those people have to have certain math skills, certain science skills, certain foreign language skills. And if we are not preparing our children well today in our schools and making sure they have that level of skills and knowledge, then we're going to be really in trouble in the long run in terms of our national security.
One thing that I thought was very scary, Michelle, the report sort of focused on the American dream. They describe it sort of like withering on the vine, and highlighted a growing gap between the educated and the undereducated, the have and classic have and have not, and how that could factor into national security. Do you agree with their premise?
Yeah, the data are very startling on this issue, and I think most Americans don't understand the fact that now in this nation, we have one of the lowest levels of social mobility of any developed nation in the entire world. Meaning, if you are a child born into poverty in this country, the likelihood that you will ever be able to get out of poverty is very low. That goes against everything that we stand for as a nation. This country was founded on the ideals that this is the land of equal opportunity, that if you are a kid who grows up in America, it doesn't matter where you come from, you have the opportunity to succeed and achieve the American dream, and that's not the reality anymore.
I want to skip to the recommendations of the council, because they have sort of their three-point recommendations, and they say this: include skill sets that are critical to national security, provide students with more school choices, and establish a national security readiness audit. Of those three, which do you think is the most important? What would you recommend?
Well, I think all three of them are incredibly important. The first is important because we have to have a set of national standards that are internationally benchmarked, so we know exactly where our American children stand at all times compared to kids in China, Japan, India, etc. The second, I think, is also incredibly important, as we discussed before, as it pertains to social mobility. We have to ensure that every single child in this nation has access to an excellent education, regardless of the neighborhood that they live in and the income level of their parents. And we can no longer allow families to feel like they are trapped in schools. And then last, every governor should very well know whether or not the children in their state are being prepared to the levels that we need them to, and if not, then they need to take specific actions on that.
So every few years, a big report comes out that basically says, if we don't step in now, if we don't intervene now, this is all going to hell in a handbasket, basically. And this is another report, I think, that is kind of saying that same thing. This is really, really important. Now we're connecting it to national security, so it's vitally important for everyone. What has to happen before people really realize that focusing on education is a priority for the nation and really fixing it?
Unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, decades ago, we had a nation at risk, which said essentially is many of the very same things that this report says. And for many decades in this country, we have believed that the problems in education have been a social issue. And it's very, very clear now that our educational system's issues are not a social problem, but they are an economic problem, and now they are a national security problem. And so really this report ought to serve as a wake-up call to the country. And everyone needs to understand this is not just an issue that affects parents with school-age children. This is an issue that affects every single American out there, whether you are a business owner, whether you are in the military, whether you have no children at all, and you're simply sort of living on Social Security. Everyone has a stake in this matter, and if we do not fix our public education system now, we will not be able to maintain our place in the global economy.
Rhee is the CEO and founder of StudentsFirst. She used to be the chancellor of the D.C. public school system. Nice to have you. Thanks for talking with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks.